Not from Leicester, not from Kettering, and not from Northampton. Live from Market Harborough, this is 95.1 HFM.
HFM Weather, in association with the new South Leicestershire Learning Innovation Centre. New location, new ways of learning, new experience for you. For more information, telephone free on 0800 731 6723.
Talking to you live from Harborough on a 95.1 FM. We're talking about innovation. We're on our journey through the information society, going to all parts of the globe. We're now going over to Boston in Massachusetts, where Debra Amidon should be on the line. Deborah, are you there?
Hi, David.
Hi. What time is it over in Boston in Massachusetts?
1:30 in the morning.
1:30 in the morning. You'll make some sacrifices for your work, don't you?
I've got to really love you guys.
I think you must do, Deborah. Thank you very much for joining us again today. Deborah was on the programme yesterday as well and joining in the action. We're going to be developing this Boston theme very shortly. Have you ever been over to Boston in Lincolnshire, Deborah?
I'm waiting.
You're waiting?
I'm waiting. I'm ready.
Excellent. Well, we've got some Bostonites in this programme today. There's myself. I was born in Boston, spent most of my early life before university living there. Philippa was born in Boston and moved away fairly early, but she tells me in her email she got connections with Liquorpond Street and Freeston Road, which is where, coincidentally, my granddad used to live. And we've got Philip Priestley over there in Belize, who went to the same school that I did. So we're going to be talking about that very shortly. I want to give you an opportunity, Deborah, then to talk about your work with innovation. What is your company all about?
Well, I worked in education for several years, and then I was a government official in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts for a while, and then I spent 12 fabulous years with Digital Equipment Corporation, and I know there are probably many friends out there who have done the same. And while I was there, I hosted a conference on managing knowledge.
Deborah, could you talk up a little bit? We're just a little bit on the faint side.
Pardon?
Could you speak up a little bit? You're a little bit on the faint side.
Oh, okay. Well, I am far away.
Yes, you are. You should have heard the disc jockey we had on before me. She could have spoken to you, I think, straight from the studio without the benefit of radio. Her voice was so loud. Sorry, please carry on.
But I spent 12 years with digital, and then left in 1993 and founded a worldwide virtual network called Entovation, which is Enterprise Innovation, and dedicated to bringing together two communities. One is the knowledge community that is focused on the knowledge economy and managing intellectual capital and intellectual assets, and the other is the innovation community, which I would suggest has been transformed within the last 10 to 15 years. A community that used to be focused on technology and is now focused on knowledge and learning. And so what we've come to is a much more shared, a common language and a shared vision of what might be possible in the future.
That's excellent, and I think we can all learn a lot from each other in this whole area, and it ties in very nicely with what Philippa was saying earlier on. I should be loading up now your definition of innovation. You've got a definitions page that should be appearing on people's screens in a new browser window very shortly. Perhaps you'd just like to just tell us a little bit about that definition.
Okay, well, for some reason it wasn't found, but let me just, at least from my perspective, it wasn't found. For any of those who are listening or want to visit the site, we actually have 25 definitions of innovation, but they all boil down to one of two variations. Either you think invention, such as you proposed earlier today.
Yes.
Invention is a process in and of itself, and innovation is the process of essentially commercializing it or putting it into action.
Yeah.
Or you think that the process of innovation includes three stages, and those three stages include invention, translation into some kind of form, marketable product and service, and full application or commercialization thereof. The definition that isn't appearing on my screen, but is the definition that we've created for knowledge innovation, is essentially the creation, the exchange, and the application of new product ideas into profitable, this is what Philippa would appreciate,
yes,
products and services to benefit three levels of the economy. First, from the enterprise level. So it's the profitability of an enterprise, or the profitable growth of an enterprise, or the prosperity of an enterprise. So it could be a non-profit or profitable or profit organization.
Yeah.
The second level is the mesoeconomic level, and that's the national economy. And the third is the societal level. And what we've found is that the management language is the same. As we're starting to focus on knowledge and innovation strategy, the language is the same and transcends any of the three levels of the economy.
Yeah,
Again, another reason that's forcing the common language and a shared vision of what we might be able to accomplish.
Yeah, I think I'd very much echo that kind of sentiment, and I think when we're talking about technology and society, the view that I have of using technology to develop a community like the Harbour District is that in many ways you can regard it as almost like an organisation, and the same tools that help organisations to work together to be successful, to make better use of the individual skills and talents of people within that organisation. The same tools, I believe, are fundamentally essential for physical communities.
Absolutely. And what we've found is in the research of the productivity paradox, is that something that translates worldwide?
Yeah.
The technology paradox or the productivity, if you push technology into an enterprise or an environment, why do performance results not occur?
Yes.
And the reason, after decades of now research, is that our behavioral.
Yes.
It's about the psychology of individuals. It's about the sociology and how organizations are structured to optimize the flow of knowledge. It's about the anthropology. It's about the cultural orientation, and that cultural orientation is not just from a national or a regional perspective, but from an enterprise culture as well.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. We were talking a little bit about this on the program yesterday, and in fact even the day before we were talking about social enterprise yesterday, and it was interesting to hear Tom Ruddy in Geneva in Switzerland saying that he felt that in the UK there was more incentive for social entrepreneurs, simply because our, as he put it, our hospitals and our schools and our railways are so bad that this tends to create an environment where people say, well, I'm going to do something about this. If the state won't do anything about it, I'm going to stand up and be counted and do something about it. And it's people like Reverend Andrew Mawson on the program yesterday who are very active in this whole area. So do you see a bright new future for us, Deborah?
Pardon?
Do you see a bright new future in this information society, or are there any dangers that we should be looking out for?
That's the perfect question. In my own travels in various corners of the globe, and this network has now evolved, I don't know if you were able to load the Global Knowledge Leadership Map?
I'm going to try and do it now, but it seems that there may be a problem with your web server, Deborah, because every page I'm trying to load tells me it can't be found, so I suspect that's what the problem is. So
it may be right now, but
yeah.
I would encourage guests to visit the website,
yes,
innovation.com, and from the homepage you'll be able to access a timeline that shows the evolution of this entire movement into communities of practice.
Yes.
You'll be able to access this Global Knowledge Leadership Map, which features the 100 people from 50 nations around the world.
That's a remarkable achievement.
Up will pop their photographs, their vision of a knowledge economy, which I think could be useful.
Yes.
And as well as a global knowledge primer that's about 400 pages of articles that have been written on this topic.
Yes.
But your question is a penetrating one, and in my travels, what I've discovered is that the focus on the information society and the ICT being the information, computer and technology, is actually exacerbating the digital divide.
Yes.
And I know that many of the listeners will not agree with this, but the reality is that when you focus on technology, you focus on computers, you focus on applying the resources accordingly. One of the things that Philippa mentioned was the quality of life.
Yes.
And the fact of the matter is, in a conference in Malaysia for the Global Knowledge Partnership sponsored by the World Bank a couple of years ago, we executives were talking about all of this focuses on the quality of life. I said the knowledge economy is a very human and very humane agenda. How will we resolve this productivity paradox, the psychology, the sociology, the anthropology, if you will, without a very human approach to this topic?
Absolutely right. Philippa, sorry, Deborah, I'm going to have to move on now, but I know you did want me to...
Can I just make my final point?
Yeah, please, sorry, yes.
My final point is that if we focus on knowledge, the knowledge of everyone is important.
Absolutely.
And everyone is important. And so instead of an information society or an information economy or ICT, perhaps the I in ICT could better be placed as innovation rather than information, and maybe we'll get knowledge moving, because innovation is how you put knowledge into action.
Absolutely, and everyone in society has this role to play, and this is why we celebrate the achievements of people like yourself who've got an international reputation, and just as equally celebrate the achievements of Frank Bingley, our local webmaster milkman, because he's an innovator in his own right. Everyone has a contribution to make. Deborah, thank you very much for that. I'm now going to play your special request. So